This is a movie that was seriously held back by its title, yet its groundbreaking time travel concept is still regarded by countless film fans as a masterpiece. A man, fully armed, wraps himself up from head to toe. Then he sits on a chair that keeps rising upward. Finally, he pushes aside a manhole cover and at last reaches the frozen, snow-covered surface. But after going through so much trouble, the man is only there to capture an insect for an experiment. In the future world of 2035, a virus outbreak sweeps across the entire globe. Humanity is pushed to the brink of extinction, and the survivors can only live in dark, damp underground shelters. In order to allow humans to return to the surface again, scientists develop a time travel machine so they can send someone back to 1996 before the virus outbreak and stop the disaster from ever happening. Perhaps by sheer luck, Cole is chosen as the lucky candidate. But what you would never expect is that he is actually a criminal. The reason for this is that the time machine often malfunctions, so ordinary people are unwilling to accept such a mission. With no other choice, the government promises the prisoners that anyone who volunteers to complete the mission will receive a full pardon. So Cole decides to take the gamble in order to gain his freedom. Unfortunately, the moment he travels back to the past, he is immediately arrested. Because he keeps telling people that the world is going to end, everyone assumes he is insane. The police chief brings in a psychiatrist, hoping to figure out who Cole really is. However, when the psychiatrist, Catherine, arrives, the man she sees is Cole with drool running from his mouth. For a moment, she doesn't even know where to begin questioning him. Unexpectedly, in the next second, Cole takes the initiative and asks a question. Is this the year 1996? But Catherine believes he's crazy and tells him that it's only 1990. After hearing that, Cole is stunned. The scientists must have sent him to the wrong year. But just as he is thinking about what to do next, he is officially diagnosed as mentally ill and sent to a psychiatric hospital. The hospital gathers several experts to examine him together. In order to explain who he really is, Cole has no choice but to publicly recount the story of the virus destroying the world. But the result is predictable. Not a single person believes him. Even so, Cole continues arguing desperately. He remembers that before he traveled through time, the scientists in the future gave him a phone number. They told him that if he ever encountered trouble, he could call that number. However, when Cole finally calls it full of hope, the person who answers is just an ordinary housewife. At this point, Cole has no other options and can only remain in the psychiatric hospital. While sleeping that night, he dreams that he is a little boy witnessing a shooting. Even more strangely, the doctor he met earlier that day, Catherine, also appears in the dream. But for some reason, he has had this exact same dream countless times since childhood. After waking up from the dream, the patient in the next bed, Jeffrey, starts chatting with him. Even more surprisingly, Jeffrey says he firmly believes Cole isn't mentally ill and is even willing to help him escape. At first, Cole doesn't really believe Jeffrey since everyone in this place seems a little unstable. But the next day, Jeffrey actually brings him the key to the ward. He even deliberately creates chaos, sacrificing himself just to give Cole a chance to escape. Unfortunately, Cole has just been injected with medication, leaving his body almost completely out of his control. Escaping is nearly impossible. So even though he unlocks the door, he's quickly caught again before he can get far. This time, the hospital moves him into a single room. However, while the doctors are discussing how to deal with this troublesome patient, Cole mysteriously disappears from the room. It turns out that after hearing a recorded message, the scientists in the future mistakenly believe Cole has made a major discovery and immediately pull him back to their time.
The Freedom for Animals Association on Second Avenue is the secret headquarters of the Army.
But the scientists have no idea that the recording actually hides a huge secret. Cole is confused and says that he was clearly sent to 1990. And since he didn't accomplish anything there and was simply treated as a mental patient, how could that recording possibly have been left by him? To uncover the truth, the scientists show him information about a group called the Army of the 12 Monkeys. And unexpectedly, it leads to a discovery. In the photos, Cole sees Jeffrey, the same man he met in the psychiatric hospital. But just as the scientists try to ask for more details, Cole's mind suddenly goes blank and he can't say anything more. So in order to gather more information, the scientists decide to send Cole back to 1996 again, promising this time there won't be another mistake. However, as expected, another accident happens. This time, Cole ends up on a World War I battlefield. Even worse, before he can explain who he is, someone shoots him in the leg. With his life now in danger, the scientists send him back once again. Finally, after the third attempt, Cole arrives in the long-awaited year 1996. 6 years later, psychiatrist Catherine has become a famous medical expert. She has also become a best-selling author, and during one of her book signings, a male fan makes a shocking statement. He claims that humans have done too much damage to Earth's environment and therefore deserve extinction. But Catherine is too busy signing books to pay much attention, not realizing she is about to miss an opportunity to save the world. After the signing event ends, Catherine is about to drive home when she is suddenly kidnapped by a masked man. To her surprise, the man neither robs her nor harms her. He only asks her to take him somewhere. But after only a few words, Catherine recognizes who the man is.
Cole,
James Cole.
6 years earlier, she had only met Cole once as a psychiatrist, yet that encounter made her begin to doubt everything she had learned in her profession. Later, after Cole's mysterious disappearance from the hospital, she even began researching the supernatural. After careful analysis, Catherine discovered many events that simply could not be explained by science. For example, decades earlier on a World War I battlefield, there had been a man who claimed he came from the future. He even said the world would eventually be destroyed by a virus, but only minutes later, he mysteriously disappeared. Using materials like these, Catherine went on to write many best-selling books, so she decides to take a gamble and join Cole in searching for the truth behind the so-called end of the world he described. As soon as they arrive in Philadelphia, Cole spots the symbol of the 12 monkeys painted on a wall. At the same time, a mysterious beggar appears and reveals a terrifying discovery.
They hear everything. They got that tracking device on you.
It turns out the beggar is also a criminal who traveled from the future. Because he didn't want to continue being monitored by the scientists, he knocked out his own teeth so he could remain in this time. At that moment, Cole finally understands why many people who traveled through time before him had disappeared, but he doesn't have time to think about it for long. The most urgent task now is to find the organization known as the 12 Monkeys. Following the red markings on the ground, Cole finally finds their headquarters, but what he sees surprises him. It turns out to be nothing more than an animal rights organization. However, after threatening them with a gun, he discovers a secret. The leader of the group is Jeffrey, the same man he met in the psychiatric hospital. Jeffrey's father is a Nobel Prize-winning virologist who frequently conducts experiments on animals. To protest these cruel practices, Jeffrey founded this mysterious organization. At that moment, Cole suddenly realizes that Jeffrey could never be the one who created the virus, so he starts searching everywhere for Jeffrey in order to meet him. But on the way, the wound in his leg flares up. Fortunately, Catherine has some medical knowledge and removes the bullet for him. But who could have imagined that this very bullet would later reveal a long-hidden secret? When Cole finally finds Jeffrey, he discovers a terrifying reality. Back in the psychiatric hospital, the things he said about a virus destroying humanity had unintentionally inspired Jeffrey. Jeffrey began considering the idea of wiping out humanity with a virus, and after leaving the hospital, he established the 12 Monkeys organization. Cole completely breaks down, unable to accept that the outbreak might have been caused by his own words. Even when he meets Catherine again, he keeps confessing his guilt.
Maybe I wiped out the human race.
Nobody is gonna wipe out the human race, not you or Jeffrey or anybody else.
How much Cole wishes that Catherine's explanation were true, but reality keeps hitting him again and again. At that moment, a large group of police officers arrives, preparing to arrest the seemingly insane Cole, and while Catherine is completely at a loss, she turns around and suddenly discovers that Cole has mysteriously disappeared once again. By now, Catherine is almost used to it, since she had already witnessed his disappearance once before. But a few days later, she receives a call from the police department. They tell her that the bullet she removed from Cole's leg is actually from the World War I era. Catherine can hardly believe it, but when she examines the photographs, she really does see Cole appearing on a World War I battlefield. Only then does she realize that Cole was never mentally ill. Everything he said was true. Meanwhile, when Cole wakes up again, he finds a group of people singing to him and even applauding. It turns out he has just received a pardon and regained his freedom, but Cole feels no happiness at all. He even begins angrily cursing the scientists in front of him. To calm him down, they quickly inject him with a sedative. After a long time, Cole finally wakes up again, but nearby, he hears a recording that sounds strangely familiar. After thinking it over carefully, he decides to do something crazy. Cole chooses to travel back to 1996 once more. This time, he plans to stay there forever and never return. When Catherine sees Cole again, she's extremely excited. By now, she fully believes everything he has said. She also hopes the two of them can stop the virus outbreak together. Unexpectedly, Cole now acts as though none of it concerns him. He's already tired of the so-called mission to save the world, and all he wants now is to stay here and live as an ordinary person. Now it is Catherine who begins persuading him instead. At first, Cole pretends to play dumb, saying he's just a mental patient, but Catherine suddenly takes out a photograph.
You had a bullet from World War I in your leg, James. How did it get there?
I don't know. Look,
With the present, the past, and the future constantly overlapping in his mind, Cole is almost driven to unbearable pain. To prove that he is determined to stay, Cole even knocks out one of his own teeth despite the agony. At that moment, Catherine suddenly remembers something. 6 years earlier, Cole had once called a mysterious phone number, but because the timing was wrong, the person who answered was not the scientist they expected. But now it is already 1996, so if they call the number again, they might reach the correct person. Sure enough, after a short while, Catherine comes back excitedly. She says she got through, but the number belongs only to a carpet cleaning company. Only then does Cole realize that the mysterious phone call that summoned him back the first time was actually made by Catherine herself, and Christmas is only a few days away, which means the virus outbreak is about to begin. Unfortunately, they still have no idea how to stop the disaster, so instead of living in constant fear, they decide it's better to enjoy the present moment. They disguise themselves and decide to fly to the coast for a vacation. However, when Cole sees Catherine after she dyes her hair blonde, he suddenly freezes in shock. The woman who has appeared countless times in his dreams is Catherine. But who was the man shot dead in the dream? His mind fills with confusion again. Just as the two of them take a taxi to the airport, they unexpectedly hear a broadcast about the 12 monkeys. It turns out that the night before, Jeffrey led members of the 12 monkeys to lock his father and several other virologists inside cages. Then they released all the animals, and now various animals are running wild throughout the city. But because of this, Cole finally breathes a sigh of relief. At least it proves that the 12 Monkeys organization is not responsible for creating the virus. They only wanted to set the animals free. But if they are not responsible, then who is the real mastermind? As soon as Cole enters the airport terminal, he feels a strange sense of familiarity. But Catherine is focused only on leaving this chaotic place as soon as possible, so she goes to buy plane tickets. However, before leaving, Cole is inexplicably compelled to call the scientists in the future again. He tells them the virus has nothing to do with the 12 monkeys, and that someone else must have created it. And he also declares that he will never return to the future again. But no one expects that just after he hangs up the phone, a fellow prisoner from the future suddenly appears in front of him. Without saying a word, the man hands Cole a gun. He says Cole can use it to kill the person responsible for creating the virus, and if he doesn't do it, Catherine will be killed. Now Cole finally understands that the scientists had planned everything all along.
This part isn't about the virus at all. It's about following orders. About doing what you're told.
But at this moment, he still doesn't know who the target is. Then Catherine provides an important clue. While buying tickets earlier, she saw the assistant of Jeffrey's father. At that moment, she had a strong feeling that this man would have the best opportunity to access the virus. In addition, during her book signing earlier, this same man had spoken about the destruction of the world. So the assistant must be the person they have been searching for. At that moment, the assistant is stopped during the security check because he is carrying many transparent containers. The staff ask him to open them one by one for inspection, completely unaware that this action could lead to the destruction of the world. By the time the assistant passes through security, Cole finally arrives. Realizing there is no time left to explain, he pulls out the gun and tries to force his way through.
Watch it.
Unfortunately, before Cole can even pull the trigger, he is shot by the police. Lying on the ground, he tenderly touches Catherine's face one last time. Watching everything from the side is a young boy who is actually Cole himself as a child. So he witnesses his own death with his own eyes. No matter how many times Cole travels through time, he cannot change the course of history. He can only struggle forever in an endless cycle of fate. And that is why these scenes have repeated countless times in his dreams. Meanwhile, the assistant has already boarded the plane openly. Sitting next to him is none other than the female scientist from the future. She has come to 1996 to bring the virus sample back to 2035 for research. In fact, this entire operation was never about changing history or preventing 5 billion deaths. It was simply to obtain a sample of the virus's origin, so that after 2035, new research could be conducted to fight the virus.